Our next speaker, well, many of you, I don't know, you might know her many different ways. Certainly as an organizer, someone who many of us have had the privilege to work alongside and walk alongside and march alongside in many of these struggles. As a journalist, absolutely bringing that story to millions of people across a number of different outlets. And perhaps some of you who were eligible to vote at the time know her as your 2008 Vice Presidential Green Party candidate, along with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. So without further ado, I want to bring up Rosa Clemente.
Peace, everybody. Wow. What an amazing way to be with each other when the state is seeking to destroy and decimate us. And the us I mean is not our white allies or our white accomplices. The state, even when you're the most radical and you're the most left, still kind of loves you. They'll tolerate you. And we have to be very honest in these times about whose lives matter and whose lives doesn't. As a Black Puerto Rican woman, I am not Black and Puerto Rican. I am a Black Puerto Rican woman who is within the Black radical tradition in this country. It is critical for me, after being in movement work for over 20 years, I was not born into the movement, to speak to young people. Most young people are not born into a movement. We're not born as organizers. Some of us are born with privileges because we grew up in the suburbs and not in the cities. Some of us have that type of privilege, right? But we need to be thinking at this very moment, the people my age, the hip-hop generation, those of us who are 35 to about 50, is how are we now going to create a youth to movement pipeline in this country? How do we talk about defunding the police and abolishing the prison system, not making it better? There is no better. How are we as young people of color gonna come to terms that if Hillary Clinton was the president, we'd be going through the same shit right now? That Jason Stockley would be free, that Freddie Gray would get no justice, that none of these mothers would get justice, that nobody who's undocumented would get justice. You as young people of color are gonna have to understand that if you fall into this two-party system, that if you think Bernie Sanders and his people are gonna save you when the day after the election they ask you to put your identity aside, like we have a choice. And why do we have to put our blackness aside? Why do we have to put our Boricuaness aside? Why is the narrative telling us that Puerto Rico, my homeland, is in crisis? No, the crisis is colonialism and imperialism, not the fact. We're going to have to start speaking some real truth to power and then figuring out how we're going to act against it. Right? How are we going to let people like Chris Hedges know when you write a hit piece on Antifa, who literally saved the lives of people like my comrade Reverend Sekou and Tracy Blackman, when white supremacists were there to kill people, right? You're not on our side right now, Chris Hedges. I don't know what the fuck's going on with you, but you ain't on the side of the people right now. And those are people that are supposed to 12-year-old daughter. That's where we're at right now. And that's why my message has to specifically talk to young people right now. This is not a sprint, y'all. This is not a trend. I've been calling myself Afro-Latina since 1998 when I met my mentor, Mike La Morena Vega. And the amount of Latino spaces that to this day have never invited me in because I accepted my Africanness and now I am clear that I am a Black Puerto Rican woman. And now in the last year, what have we seen? Afro-Latinos are trendy shit popping right now. Everybody now is Afro-Latino. And to me, I'm like, yes. Because what we're essentially doing is saying that we as Latinos who have been colonized in the mind, some of us still calling ourselves Hispanic are saying, no, we're not confronting just white supremacy. We're gonna break anti-Blackness all over the world. That's what we're saying right now. 3 years ago, I touched down in Ferguson. And this is where now we talk about sacrifice. Everybody in this room, even with my critiques of the white allies and accomplices, are, I'm sure, making a sacrifice. Robert King made an almost 40-year sacrifice. Jalil Muntaqin, Leonard Peltier, Oscar Lopez. Obama didn't free him, the people freed Oscar. Eddie Conway, Jalil Muntaqin, Herman Bell, 70 years old, where I'm up in upstate New York and the police just brutalized them last week. Anytime some political stuff goes down, the first people they throw in the shoe or in the hole are our political prisoners. Because they know that even in the walls, these brothers and sisters are fighting. But when I touched down 3 years ago in Ferguson, and I saw the shift in a movement, 2 reasons. Those young brothers and sisters and queer people on the front lines were facing off against military tanks. And as a historian in Black Studies, the last time we've seen that was not even when I was born, but in the 60s. Military tanks went into a town that is 2 miles, 1 strip, to fight 25 people. Because they weren't going there to fight 25 people. They were going there to stop what was brewing. And for the last 3 years, what we've seen is unapologetic Black and brown young people who are saying no more Black male patriarchal leadership, no more homophobic leadership, and when, as Alicia Garza told us, when you trust Black women, you're gonna be all right. And you have to keep saying that. You have to keep saying that. We have to be about not just surviving, but what it looks to thrive. We have to figure out what will be our sacrifice. We have to get out of the mindset that we will be normal and that we're never going to be on the margins, or that we're not always going to be on the color line, as Du Bois taught us. And I'm not mad about being on the color line, because my belief is when Black people are free, we will all be free. So, our history as well, and this is really to young folks, listen, you got to read your history. You have to read Fanon. You have to understand the colonized mindset. You have to understand how a Puerto Rican can be a neo-Nazi in Charlottesville beating up DeAndre Harris. You have to understand that a Black president was there to keep American imperialism going with a Black face. You have to understand that white supremacy is not as easy as just seeing somebody white anymore. We got people in our community that are sick from it. And instead of fighting the sickness, they take the sickness in. Those are our enemies, y'all. And if the language is divisive or whatever, like I said, those of us, especially those of us who actually bear children, to hear mothers to hear everybody up here talking about what was done to them, to hear a father saying, there's no way my son is not going to matter and other 43 people matter. It's just a visceral thing. And what it essentially means also is that when we have children in our lives, as Black and brown children, from the minute they come out that womb, or the minute you become a foster parent or adopt, or you create your family by any means necessary, it is our duty as well to racially socialize our children from the get. When you do not racially socialize your child, it's just as corrosive as you giving them pork or letting them listen to bad music on the radio. That's destructive. So as I close, I think it's critical that we also understand, at this point, our fight is not for civil rights. Our fight is not what the system is going to give. Our fight is, as they said in Ferguson, the whole damn system is guilty as hell. And if it's guilty as hell, why do we want to make it better? We're creating a new world. And it also could mean that, yo, straight up, I'm not a non-violent philosophical person. I'm about self-determination and self-defense. You come at me, I'm going to be prepared to fight and defend my fucking body. So, it's dangerous right now to be in the face of a small group, but a militarized group that is headed basically by the president that at any moment wants to kill anybody that is the other. The state has no boundaries at this point. So, I was going to do the Frederick Douglass quote, but I won't. The power concedes nothing without its demand. It never did and never will, because you know that. But I end with the story about BLM. November 2014, I had just moved to Los Angeles. I joined BLM LA 2 days after I moved there. I lived in a village called St. Elmo. First person I met was Patrice Cullors. She said, you don't come to BLM? I said, yeah, I just came from Ferguson, of course. And I joined BLM. The day before Thanksgiving, we shut down the 101, 7 of us. All right, anybody from LA knows what it means to shut down the 101. All right? Of course, we were arrested. By that night, we were out. The state, 2 years to take us to trial. Spent over $350,000 to take 7 of us to trial in East LA. And every time they would come back with a plea bargain, just apologize. We ain't apologizing. Well, you might see a year. All right, we were together, us, the BLM 7. We went through a whole trial, a month, 12 days to pick a jury. Anybody who's ever been in a courtroom setting knows how stressful, anxiety-ridden you are, right? You're away from your family, your job might fire you and all that. We would regroup every day after the trial, and we'd give love to an ancestor, and we'd also call out as many of our political prisoners, and we would end the day with free them all, free them all, free them all. Some of us were ended up, the case finished, some of us were found guilty, some weren't. And as we left each other that day, I said, this is some crazy shit that the state would spend $350,000 in East LA, parts that don't have a community center. Maybe the hospital is not, the school's not functioning, because it wasn't about the BLM 7. It was them, through the power of the courts, trying to stop a movement, trying to stop us, trying to make an example of us. And when our attorney said, remember this, you spent more time on trial than Dr. King, Rosa Parks, I said, that's crazy. And I thought about that subsequently, about that. And that's what the state always seeks to do, and Fanon talked about that. It seeks to destroy, but it seeks to also stop us from living and dreaming. So, as we say, or the young lords used to say, Pa'lante, siempre pa'lante. We keep moving forward, we keep resisting, and for all the young people, anybody in here under 30, let me tell you, the work is not easy. Sometimes you're gonna be alone, sometimes you're gonna get sick, sometimes you're gonna have no money, sometimes you're gonna be depressed. People don't wanna be honest about that in this work, because a lot of times we don't get wins. But in this room, this is a fucking win right now.